Imagine for a second that you have a secret box. You put all the things you don't want anyone to see inside of it. You lock it up tight with a heavy padlock. You dig a deep hole in the ground and bury it. You plant a flower on top of it and walk away, thinking that nobody will ever find it. You think your secrets are safe forever. That is exactly what Meghan Markle thought she had done with her past. She wanted the world to think she was perfect. She wanted us to believe she was a real-life princess who just got lucky. But guess what? The dirt is being dug up. The lock has been smashed open. The box is wide open for everyone to see. And inside, it is not just old letters or childhood toys. It is secrets about very rich men, giant fancy boats, and a life she tried to hide from Prince Harry. Everyone is whispering about it. The news stations are scared to say it loud, but we are not. Why is the palace staying so quiet? What is really going on between Meghan and Prince Andrew? You better get your popcorn ready and sit down, because the truth is finally coming out, and it is going to be a wild ride. Why are the newspapers and the royal family refusing to look at the truth? Why won't they say anything about Meghan Markle's connection to a certain man? The most important question is about her relationship with Prince Andrew. They seem to know each other very well. Wasn't there a lot of talk that she was on a boat owned by a man named Epstein? There were even photos of her and Prince Andrew from a long time ago. These pictures were taken when she was very young, maybe in her early 20s. Wow. It is really interesting to see. It makes people wonder if she was a yacht girl. That is a name for someone who gets paid by rich men to hang out on their boats. It suggests that Meghan spent time with Prince Andrew and Jeffrey Epstein way before she ever met Prince Harry. Why aren't the people in charge telling everyone the big secret? Why don't they just push the button and let the whole world know the truth about who Meghan Markle really is? Let me paint a picture for you so you can understand what happened. It was supposed to be just a regular Saturday night. It was a time to relax. People were laughing at jokes, eating snacks, and watching the TV show Saturday Night Live, just like they always do. But let me tell you, baby, tonight was not normal. Tonight, the TV show didn't just tell a funny joke. They started a fire. This fire went straight to Meghan Markle's big, fancy house. Imagine her house, full of perfect candles, shiny crystals, and quotes about how perfect life is. One single joke on TV ruined all of that. One reaction from the crowd changed everything. A huge royal meltdown was starting behind the scenes. The TV show decided to talk about Meghan and some old photos of her on a boat. When they did that, oh boy, she lost her temper. And trust me, the story that comes next gets hotter, messier, and a whole lot meaner. So, you better buckle your seatbelt, because this is where the big trouble begins. The comedian from the show, Colin Jost, walks onto the stage. He looks totally innocent, right? He is wearing a cool suit. His face looks smooth. He is married to a famous movie star, Scarlett Johansson. His life seems easy and chill. But then he opens his mouth and boom. He fires the first shot at Meghan. He says, "The new trade deal with the UK is simple. America keeps Meghan Markle." The crowd stops moving. Literally, they freeze. It was so quiet you could hear a pin drop on the floor. You could probably hear Meghan's fake eyelash fall off all the way in her big house in Montecito. Then suddenly, the room explodes with noise. People are laughing, they are clapping, they are going crazy. This is because that joke wasn't just random. It hit a sore spot. It hit a very royal sore spot. And Colin doesn't stop there. He goes straight for the win. He says, "Only if she deletes her Instagram again." Oh my gosh. Now the audience is screaming with laughter. News headlines start popping up everywhere like popcorn in a microwave. People on the news are choking on their tea because they are so shocked. And Meghan, people who know her say she was not laughing. She didn't even do a fake Hollywood laugh. Word from inside her town says that a wine glass was thrown at a fancy stone counter very fast. That is because Meghan knew the truth in that room. The TV show wasn't making fun of her politics. They were making fun of her brand. They were making fun of the image she created. Once comedians start treating you like a big joke, honey, your wall is already cracking. Here is the thing. The jokes on that show always have hidden meanings. This wasn't just, haha, look at Meghan. This was a way of saying, everyone knows something, and we are finally saying it out loud. Colin sneaks in a mention of Prince Andrew. He talks about islands. He talks about things Meghan has worked very hard to run away from. He teases her about never searching for Harry on Google. Everyone knows that is a lie. It is a lie so big that even a cartoon character would blink their eyes in disbelief. Think about it. Meghan is the lady who plans everything. She makes vision boards to plan her future. She talks about manifesting her man. She has said she wanted a prince since she was 5 years old. Does she really want us to believe she didn't look up Prince Harry on the internet? Girl, please. The TV show wasn't making innocent little jokes. They were shining a bright flashlight into the dark closet where Meghan keeps her secrets. One person who knows about these things said that the joke felt like someone gave Hollywood permission to start talking. That means the door Meghan fought so hard to keep locked was starting to creak open. Just when Meghan thought the jokes were stopping, boom, another explosion happens. Suddenly, a bunch of photos from a yacht start being shared everywhere. These were not fuzzy pictures of a baby. They were not blurry selfies taken in a dark club in 2008. No, these were perfect pictures. They were high quality. They were full of sunshine. They showed a beautiful, huge boat floating near a shiny coast in Europe. There were men wearing expensive sunglasses. There was fancy champagne. There were private servants. There was luxury everywhere you looked. And right in the middle there was a woman. Her hair was perfect. Her skin was glowing. She was laughing like her life was absolutely perfect. This woman looks exactly like Meghan Markle. People say the timing was too perfect to be an accident. These photos came out right when Meghan was trying to start her career over. She had a new wine brand. She had plans for a new movie. She was trying to sell a new lifestyle. And suddenly, here come these old whispers about yachts walking back into the spotlight like, "Hey girl, remember us?" But the real problem wasn't just the boat. It was the time period. These pictures match the time when Meghan was on the show Suits. That was the same time she was selling herself as a clean, polite, nice girl next door. She wanted people to think she was a hardworking actress. Except for this. This didn't look like girl next door energy. This looked like private invitations. It looked like special company. It looked like she had access to luxury way before she met the royals. Now here is where things start getting really interesting. After those boat photos popped up, people weren't just asking, "Is that her?" No, the real question was, how did Meghan even get on a boat like that? Let's remember the time we are talking about. This wasn't Duchess Meghan. This wasn't the Meghan who saves the world. This was the early Suits days. This was the Meghan who posted pictures of avocado toast. She talked about taking care of herself on Sundays. She said you have to work hard to get what you want. That is cute. But that is not access to a yacht cute. This wasn't like a college spring break trip. This was for A-list people. It was for people with super connections. It was a VIP-only kind of place. It is the kind of place where your name isn't on the list unless someone very powerful wants you there. And here is where it gets spicy. Back then, Meghan had a blog called The Tig. It was her personal website about her life. The blog was filled with dreamy posts about travel. It talked about mysterious invitations for the summer. It had perfect photos of fancy trips, but she always described it in a soft, innocent way. She acted like she was just lucky and grateful to be there. Except now, those blog posts read very differently. People in the industry have always whispered that Meghan was strategic. That means she planned everything carefully. She was always meeting new people. She was always putting herself in the right rooms before anyone realized what she was trying to do. One person said, "People like Meghan don't end up on those boats by accident. Someone invites them." So the pictures don't just make people suspicious. They reveal the truth. Because a boat like that isn't just a vacation. It is a whole different world. It is a world she never told us about in her story. But it is clearly a world she could enter long before Harry ever showed up. Here is the part Meghan hoped would never come back to the light. Long before she had royal titles, podcasts, or big deals in Hollywood, there was a private network of whispers. It was a rumor that Meghan once hung around certain elite groups. These groups included very rich men. They included people with social power. And yes, they included men connected to the same world Prince Andrew was in. This rumor wasn't talked about on the news. It wasn't loud. It lived in quiet voices. It lived in corners of the movie industry. It was in the don't ask too many questions territory. And the people who work for the royals absolutely knew about it. When Meghan and Harry became a couple, the palace workers reportedly worked very hard to hide anything that looked like a scandal. Stories quietly disappeared from the internet. Old conversations vanished. Certain newspapers were told kindly to avoid stories that weren't proven. Because once a woman is getting ready to marry into the royal family, her past must be spotless. It has to be clean, even if they have to scrub it a little bit. But here is the truth. Whispers don't die. They wait. And when those boat photos came back, the old rumor didn't just appear again. It roared back to life like a lion. One person who knows the secret said it simply. The rumor wasn't new. It was just buried underground. And now the ground is cracking open. Here is the real twist in Meghan's story. This is the part that makes the scandal even juicier. Meghan didn't just build a career. She built an image. Think about every post about yoga. Think about every bowl of avocado. Think about every interview with soft lighting and nice words about power. Her entire personality was made like a product you buy at the store. She sold herself as the relatable girl. She said she worked hard. She said she rose to the top by herself. She said she stayed clean, humble, and grounded. But now, the story about the yacht changes everything. It doesn't just challenge her past. It goes against her brand. Because how can you tell people to be pure and innocent? How can you say, I built my life from scratch? You can't say that when there are photos showing you had access to billionaire luxury years before royalty ever came into the picture. One Hollywood source said her brand depends on things making sense. The photos make the story not make sense. And that is the danger. When your empire is built on being perfect, even one small crack becomes a giant canyon. And the yacht photos weren't just a crack. They were a spotlight shining straight through the surface. Because suddenly the question wasn't, is that Meghan on the boat? The question was, if she hid this, what else did she hide? And that question, my love, is where the entire scandal starts getting bigger and bigger, like a snowball rolling down a hill. By now, everyone expected Meghan to fight back. We expected a statement. We expected her to say it wasn't true. We expected a threat from her lawyers. We expected a quote about self-love on Instagram. We expected something. But guess what she gave us? Nothing. Not a whisper. Not a post. Not even a passive-aggressive message in fancy rose gold letters saying, "In times of darkness, we rise stronger." Just silence. And that silence spoke louder than any letter to the press ever could. Sources in Montecito claimed Meghan went into full lockdown mode. That means she hid away. No smiles for the photographers. No staged trips to get coffee. No photos of her accidentally walking the dog. Behind closed doors, insiders say she was far from calm. Imagine frantic phone calls. Imagine emails flying everywhere. Imagine her team pacing back and forth and panicking. One source said she didn't want to talk publicly because she didn't know which part to deny. Ouch, because here is the rule in Hollywood and royalty. When something is false, you shut it down fast. You don't let it breathe. You don't let it grow. You stop it immediately, but Meghan didn't stop anything. She went completely still, and that made the world lean in closer to listen. While Meghan was scrambling behind the fancy curtains of her house, everyone noticed something strange. Harry disappeared. Not literally, but emotionally, publicly, energetically. He stopped making appearances with her. He stopped smiling for the cameras. He stopped defending Meghan in interviews. He even skipped a couple of expected video calls. These were the ones he usually shows up for with fake excitement. Sources whisper that the tension in the house was very heavy. You could feel it. One insider described Harry like this. He looked like a man reading the tiny writing on a contract he never wanted to see. Think about it. Harry gave up everything. He gave up his titles. He gave up his home. He gave up his family. He gave up his friends for Meghan. He built a life around her version of the story. But now, with these photos coming back and those long-buried whispers and Meghan refusing to explain anything, Harry was allegedly questioning everything. Another source said he finally accepted things he didn't want to accept before. That line alone is like a scene from a movie. Meghan was fighting to hold her story together. Harry was quietly stepping back. He was trying to figure out if he ever knew the whole picture. And that silence between them, let's just say it was louder than the entire audience at the TV show. Here is the truth. The boat photos aren't the real scandal. The TV show isn't the real scandal. Even Harry pulling away isn't the real scandal. The real scandal is the illusion. For years, Meghan Markle didn't just tell a story, she crafted one. She built it piece by piece. She used filter by filter. She did it interview by interview. It was a story of the struggling actress who became a duchess through love, grace, and positivity. It was a story of the underdog who helps people. It was the girl next door with royal dreams. It was the perfect mix of Hollywood sparkle and royal elegance. But when an image is built on perfection, it cannot survive when things don't match. Those yacht photos didn't expose a scandal. They exposed a crack in the foundation. It is a crack in the fairy tale. It reveals a different kind of story underneath. It is a story of ambition. It is a story of calculated connections. It is a story of chapters that were carefully erased. It is a story of changing who you are to get ahead. And once the world senses a crack, it starts pushing. Not because people want her to fall, but because everyone wants to know who the real Meghan Markle is. Is she the woman she showed us? Or is she the woman she hid? And this, my love, is where the room goes quiet, because the joke on TV wasn't comedy. It was a cultural announcement. It said, "We see you now." The photos that came back weren't accidents. They were reminders. The silence wasn't noble. It told us a lot. And the bad things happening now weren't random. They were going to happen eventually. Meghan Markle built a global image, but now that image is flickering like a light bulb about to go out. People are watching to see what comes out of the smoke. Because the question isn't whether her past is coming back. The question is what else is coming with it. And trust me, we are only getting started.